Gabriel Fernandez vs Fuguan Liao, the finals of the Pokémon TCG Senior Division. On one side, Gabriel Fernandez is a player who is on track to get the perfect season, maxing out on every possible event where he could earn points. 4 League Challenge wins, 4 League Cup wins, 2 Regional Champion wins, and 3 International Championship wins. The only other possible thing he could still win is the World Champion title. On the other side is Fuguan Liao, who comes from a region where the TCG was only introduced in 2022, just 3 years ago. And in fact, their meta is still playing catch up to the current meta being played at Worlds, because not all of the sets have been released in Chinese. However, that didn't stop Fuguan Liao piloting his Joltik Goldengo deck all the way to the finals to face off against Gabriel Fernandez and his Ends Zoroark deck. The final match was a best of 3, but I want to highlight game number 1, especially because towards the end, there is a lot that we can all learn from it. The first is the importance of the phrase, thinning is winning, and the second is that it's not really a catch-all thing, but knowing your deck so well inside and out, to a point that you can see certain lines of play that many others might not even think about. Starting the game off though, Fuguan is forced to go first. He has prized his one-of Miraidon, so despite having 2 nest balls, he can only grab a Joltik and then attach an energy and pass the turn. Meanwhile, Gabriel gets his Buddy Buddy Poffin and TM Evo combo to get 2 End Zoroarks established right away. Back to Fuguan though, with his supporter now available, he gets the full setup to use Jolting Charge onto an Iron Hands, getting it ready for an Ampy Very Much, which will take an additional prize card if it manages to knock something out with its 120 damage attack. All the while, he also manages to attach 1 Metal Energy onto Pikachu EX. Gabriel then finds his Ends Reshiram to be able to copy its attack with the active Zoroark EX to knock out the active Joltik. But being only a single prizer, this doesn't threaten Fuguan too much, as odds are, Gabriel will still have to find 3 more knockouts throughout the game. And so, Fuguan takes this opportunity to Jolting Charge a second time, attaching 2 Grass and an Electric Energy onto Pikachu. At this point now, all of the energy in Fuguan's deck is now either on field, in the discard, or in the prizes, with there being 24 cards left in the deck. On Gabriel's turn, he simply once again knocks out the active Joltik, putting him back on even prizes. Now, Fuguan is 2 prizes behind, but he has 2 attackers fully charged and ready to go. So after using a superior energy retrieval to get back the electric and metal energy that were discarded from the Joltiks, he attaches one of these electrics to the Pikachu alongside a Bravery Charm, and then uses Topaz Bolt to knock out the Zoroark EX, discarding a Metal, Grass, and Electric Energy. And because we know that Fuguan has the other metal in hand, there is nothing stopping this Pikachu from doing this again on the next turn. And if Gabriel tries to put down the Toadscroll, which prevents cards being added back to the hand from the discard pile, the Iron Hands is more than ready to use Ampy Very Much to knock out that Toadscroll and take 2 prizes doing so. But Gabriel does bench the 60 HP Toadscroll anyway on his turn, as well as a Pheasantipity and a Pecharunt EX. And then after bossing up Fuguan's Pheasantipity, thanks to the Binding Mochi and self-inflicted poison from Pecharunt EX, Gabriel can knock out Pheasantipity, which means 3 less cards for Fuguan to draw on his turn. Not only that though, but he also plays an Unfair Stamp which shuffles Fuguan's hand back into the deck, letting him draw only 2 new cards, meaning it'll be harder to get that Pikachu return KO. Now, after the Unfair Stamp and his draw for turn, Fuguan has a Genesect and 2 Buddy Buddy Poffins. The first thing that he does is play both of the Buddy Buddy Poffins, not only to get them out of play in case he gets Ionoed and they get put back into the deck, but also to get 1 Gimmighoul out of the deck. Then he uses Genesect's ability to grab a Goldengo out of the deck too, meaning there are now 23 cards left in the deck. Drawing 2 off of the Goldengo, using its ability since it's in the active spot, he's able to find the Metal Energy, allowing him to knock out the Zoroark EX, discarding the last 3 energy on the Pikachu. The chance of him finding this Metal Energy was a 17% chance of happening. With Gabriel left with no energy on the board and a vulnerable Toadscroll that could get knocked out with an Ampy Very Much for the game, he decides to Turo it up and leave his Ends Reshiram in the active, which can tank a hit from the Iron Hands, and it is a single prizer, hoping that on the next turn he's able to go for game. But here is where Fuguan demonstrates an incredible display of sequencing and knowledge of his deck. In his hand is a Genesect, a Goldengo, a Pokegear, an Arven, and a Nest Ball. The Arven and Pokegear were off the prizes. But his top deck is a Boss's Order. Now, for most of us, we would see this as the classic, you top-decked boss for the game. Very skillful, I see. But Fuguan actually needs a lot more than just a boss's order. Sure, he can boss up the Pecharunt EX, which only has 190 HP, but he also needs 5 total energy for the knockout. 1 Metal Energy as an attachment to the Goldengo, and then 4 energy to deal the damage needed for the knockout. But he has access to 2 Goldengos, and these let him draw 1 card if you use their ability while on the bench, or 2 if they are in the active. And I think many people tunnel visioned on the boss's order because on the stream, they had the top deck graphic like it was the game-winning draw, and the commentators even mention that one of the Goldengos will let you draw 2 cards.
Drawn the boss's orders, that means we're just a few energy away with 2 coin bonuses, one of which can draw the maximum 2 cards.
But after drawing for turn, there are 19 cards left in the deck. Technically speaking, there are plenty of outs. There is a Metal Energy, an Earthen Vessel, and also 3 Superior Energy Retrievals. All Fuguan has to do is draw into at least 1 Superior Energy Retrieval and any of the previously mentioned outs. First things first though, he plays a Pokegear to find a Team Rocket's Petrol, thinning out 1 extra card, leaving 18 cards left in the deck. Once again though, everyone is still fixated on the boss's order. And so, after retreating into one of the Goldengo to draw 2 cards, Fuguan finds the Earthen Vessel as well as a Miraidon, which guarantees the energy he needs for the attack. By playing the Pokegear to thin out that 1 supporter card, Fuguan boosted his odds of drawing that Earthen Vessel from 10.58% up to 11.11%. After playing the Vessel, there are now 15 cards left in the deck, 3 of which are Superior Energy Retrieval. If Fuguan were to use the benched Goldengo ability to draw another card, he has a 20% chance of finding the Superior Energy. And once again, this entire time, the commentators are talking about this being the last card that he can draw, assuming of course that the play will be Boss plus Superior Energy Retrieval, which admittedly is a possibility. And after all, 20% doesn't really seem that bad of a chance, right? But when you're on the world stage, are you willing to take that gamble? But what Fuguan does is he plays an Arven, grabbing both a Prime Catcher and an Air Balloon, which is a brilliant move. Playing Arven here for a Prime Catcher functionally does the same thing as using a boss's order, as both of them will enable him to gust up the Petron EX into the active. But not only does playing the Arven remove 2 more cards from the deck, meaning there are only 13 cards left, it also allows Fuguan to switch in his benched Goldengo that has not yet used its ability, meaning that he can now draw 2 cards instead of just 1. Had Fuguan played the boss's order and tried to draw 1 card out of the deck of 15, that 20% chance doesn't sound that bad, but by thinning out just 2 extra cards and by letting Dengo draw 1 extra card, Fuguan's odds went from a 20% chance to a 42.31% chance of finding a Superior Energy Retrieval. He more than doubled his chances of finding the winning card, all because he decided to play a different supporter and not play the ever so tempting boss for game. Instead, he decided to thin out his deck because, as we all know, thinning is in fact winning. Then unfortunately there was a bit of drama because when drawing the 2 cards from Goldengo, we did end up seeing a 3rd Superior Energy Retrieval revealed off the top facing up, which I will say was very fun to see happen live, but after a few minutes of judge review, it looked like one of the cards was just accidentally flipped over while Gabriel was shuffling Fuguan's deck. And of course it had to be the winning Superior Energy Retrieval just staring at everyone awkwardly. But thankfully though, the 3rd card being the wrong way did not interfere with the other 2 cards drawn off the top, and one of which was also a Superior Energy Retrieval, which let Fuguan take Game 1. Gabriel would go on to win Game 2 of the match, but in the final game, due to some unfortunate hands, Gabriel could not keep up with the Iron Hands Ampy very much from Fuguan, taking 2 prizes turn after turn. And so, the 2025 Senior Pokemon Trading Card Game World Champion would end up being Fuguan Liao. Hopefully though, this video has shown off the importance of the concept of thinning is winning. But not just that though, hopefully we can all come to appreciate just how good of a play this was by Fuguan. To see the boss in hand and know his deck well enough that playing the boss was somehow actually the incorrect option in this scenario. Before I leave, I was actually watching this match in person with a bunch of my friends who all qualified for Worlds, and you'll see absolutely none of us saw this Arven line. We were all chatting about it as it was happening, and you'll see how silly we all look in comparison to a world champion now. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this video or learned something new, do consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, especially because over the next few days I'll also be trying to upload some of my own personal experiences from attending my very first Worlds. But until next time, enjoy a bunch of goofballs watching the live play as it happens. Bye-bye.
To Fuguan, it's his chance now to try and win the game. Does he have it in hand? Will he draw into it? You've drawn the boss's orders. That means with just a few
Okay, he top deck boss, and then what?
the maximum 2 cards.
What am I going to boss now?
Superior. The boss's orders that's in hand waiting there. So a draw to get 1 card in the deck. Superior Energy Retrieval has to be found here off of 1 card.
How are you bossing?
Clutch.
Oh yes, he's leaving us in suspense.
Any other option? Is it better to argue now, play it safe, rely on the mist of... That's why Fuguan's in the finals.
And he gets to draw another
Then two prime up, so it's the boss, and then also
and draw two.
and draw another 2. That's actually huge.
Yeah, shows you precisely.
The chips are all in the middle. Let's see 2 cards.
What?
Not sure what's happened there. That is unfortunate moment. That is the superior retrieval, but not how you want to see it at this moment.
Rolls 2 and you see the superior location. Yeah, I want you too, bro, but like,
He hasn't even seen what the other 2 are yet. What if they're like all 3 superior? It's like, well,
Well, that's why I don't think it's a prize penalty, because he didn't look at 3.
yeah.
He hasn't seen the 2.
And also, I feel like it might not affect the game depending on what happens. Like,
Yeah. He was never gonna see that card.
yeah. Oh, he had it anyway. He had it anyway.
There were 2 in the top 3.